The boy Blackbeard Mirage, I'm back. What's happening? Salute. Major salute. I just want to welcome all the ladies and gentlemen who are tuning back in into the Midnight Mirage. You know, as you all know, I love all the people. You know what I'm saying? I'm appreciative of, everybody who's tuning in, new subscribers, old subscribers, new viewers, old viewers. Whoever you may be, just know that you're welcome here. Please look through the old playlist. You know what I'm saying? Check that out. Real quick, I want to shout out two brothers. You know what I'm saying? That's on my subscription list. And I want you all to look into their pages. One of them, his name is Christopher Pugh or Chris Pugh, and he's on my subscription list. Sometimes you all may have heard me shout out OG Chris in some tapes, and that's who this brother is. You know, he makes a lot of good tapes that deals with masculine energy, because that's what we're going to talk about in this one. So check him out. That brother name is Christopher Pugh. And another brother I grew up with by the name of Money Mitch. You know, at least that's what we call him. But his page is called Money Mitch TV. And he deals with a lot of Nike shoes and basketball and stuff like that, because Blackbeard got some up his sleeve. Pretty soon I'm going to create another page that's dealing with basketball, and is dealing with basically the psychology of basketball. Anything you can think of related to basketball. I'm going to be coming up with that relatively soon. I can't put a date on it, but it's going to be coming soon. So my boy Money Mitch that I grew up with, you know what I'm saying? We used to always hoop together. We was always on the new Nikes or the new Jordans or whatever it was. So on his page, you know what I'm saying? He goes into a lot of the shoes and stuff like that. So if you all are sneaker fans or basketball fans, you can check him out, and you will like a lot of his stuff. So his name is Money Mitch TV, and he's also on my subscription list. So check these two brothers out, Christopher Pugh and Money Mitch TV. What I want to do in this tape is briefly talk about masculine energy and manhood, and how this is something that's very, very important. And as men that are fully developed in the principles and codes of manhood, how we have to, pass this teaching and pass this lesson on to our sons. Because a lot of us tend to think that because you're born in the gender of a boy or a male, that when you reach maturity, your post years of puberty, that you all of a sudden naturally become a man. So just because you get a little, hair on your face, that don't mean you're a man. Just because your voice starts cracking and you get a little bass in your voice, that don't make you a man. Just because you move out your mama's house and probably can pay your own little bills, even, that don't necessarily make you a man. Just because you own a certain amount of weapons and guns, that don't make you a man. And just because you're over 6 feet tall, that don't make you a man. A lot of the things that deal with manhood actually are not even physical, believe it or not. Let me repeat. A lot of the things dealing with manhood are not even physical. All right. Then they also have to do with choices. Being a man is basically, the extended or the fully matured male who takes on accountability and responsibility. And that's for himself and for anything he creates in his external environment. So that's ultimately what a man is. And you have to be trained and you have to be educated and guided on how to be a man. So you're not going to just naturally grow up, throughout all your years and just become a man. And it's the same with females. Women don't just naturally become women. They can be grown females. But as far as the code of being a woman and the principles of being a woman, that's something that has to be guided. Because naturally, we don't tend to go against what our nature creates. So, for example, with a female, her nature is going to tell her that every man that tells her that, oh, you beautiful, and every man that tells you, oh, baby, I love you. Her nature is going to tell her that, she should probably open up her legs for every man that, does this. But the code of being a woman will clearly show that, you don't open your legs for every man that does that or says that. You have to use discernment. And you have to have integrity about yourself. You know what I'm saying? And you make the right choice. So being a man or a woman, a lot of it centers around making the right choice. In particular for things that you create and things you got to be accountable for, and things you got to be responsible for. So let's use the example of a young boy, because a lot of so-called black men, all the Aboriginal brothers out there, these are the people I'm concerned with. And a lot of so-called black women are all the Aboriginal, the goddesses out there that have sons and stuff like that. These are some of the people I'm concerned with as well, because you all are going to be having sons out there or male children. Let me go ahead and tell you this right now. As I've said before, you're going to have to train your son and guide your son on how to be a man. Don't expect him to just naturally grow into that, because there are going to be a lot of things that happen and he won't know that a man is not supposed to respond in certain type of ways. So I already gave you the example of a woman, how, she may feel just because a man's smiling at her or something, she may want to open her legs up, but that may not be the thing to do. And in the world of being a man, it's the same way. For example, men, our emotions and the way our heart works and the way our adrenaline and all that works, physiologically, it ain't too much different than the female vessel. But what we have to remember is that people do not expect men to react to the things the same way as women. So, if certain things happen and a woman reacts and, she may not be as satisfied and show a little bit of emotion, overall, people will let women get away with that. Not necessarily saying it's expected. In some cases it is. But overall, people will let women get away with it. Whereas with men, that's not the case. Men, part of being a man is being able to control emotion. So when a man's emotions are, when his emotions get struck a certain way, people expect him to respond in a certain way. So he's not supposed to, let's say, not necessarily say not show emotion, but be able to control his emotion a lot better. And let me give you an example. So previously we had the 2018 NBA Finals, Golden State and Cleveland. And we all know that the Cavs lost. But one thing that was very, very powerful, and it was something that I learned, and it kind of inspired me to make this tape. And it's something I've always known, but it once again, it deals with the manhood, and it deals with being guided, and it deals with being taught. Now we're going to use the example of LeBron James. Now here you have a guy that's about 6'8", about 250 pounds. Got facial hair. So he has the appearance of a man or the grown masculine, we'll say. But part of being a man is also possessing and having certain leadership qualities and leadership traits. And one thing that a leader is able to do is control their emotions in the face of adversity. And this is something that a boy has to be taught. He will not naturally grow into this because most people tend to shy away from things that make us feel uncomfortable or things that are hard. But part of being a man is facing adversity. You know what I'm saying? And, that's something that you just have to grow through. So when a boy is very, very little, he has to have a father around that he sees deal with adversity. And then he sees his father deal with the adversity in the proper way. So, if something happens in this, let's say some kind of confrontation at a gas station, the little boy is watching his father and how his father is interacting with people. And he's also going to kind of soak in, some of his father's behavior mannerisms. So, in other words, the boy is watching how his father does things. And in certain ways, he sees his father reacting. He may pick up these patterns. Now, if a kid's father is not around, what's going to happen is that he's going to probably pick up on some of the things, of course, he sees his mother doing, but he'll also pick up on things that he see other men doing, and then, whatever he may create himself. So let's take the brother LeBron James, for example. I don't think LeBron James grew up with his father. His mother had him extremely young. So we already know off top that LeBron did not have anybody guiding and instructing him. Let me also give you another mythology about this whole thing about being a mentor or something like that. Let me tell you something. When you have a child, the only person that's going to be 100% vested in your child is the person that had them, whether it's the mother or the father. Meaning that when they instruct the child, they also going to kind of stick around to actually, like I said, express, whatever they're trying to teach the child and then help correct the child as the child is going through it. So what a parent is going to do is like, when you on the tricycle and it has the little, the extra wheel so you don't fall. A parent is not going to just push you out there and expect you to just be rolling on your own. A parent is going to put you on the bike. They're going to kind of guide you. And then they're going to slowly let you go on your own. But basically, they watching you the whole time. They ain't just sending you out there. They're expecting you to learn it and do it on your own. And when you make certain mistakes, they're going to correct you. And the only person that's going to be really vested in you like that it's going to be the parent or maybe a relative that's chosen to care about you like that. But as far as anybody that's going to naturally care about you like that it's going to either be your mother or your father. So if you're born, and either your mother or your father in your life like that, it's fucked up, but that's just kind of like the way the shit played out. You know what I'm saying? And you're going to be lacking in certain areas. So, going back to LeBron James, this brother may have not had nobody really show him that. And here's where it affected him. So we already know he physically looks like a man. But when you look at certain mannerisms and attributes that he has psychologically and emotionally, you can tell he's not developed in certain masculine areas. Because once again, being a man is having the ability to deal with adversity and being uncomfortable. And it's also having the ability to keep your composure in them types of situations. So in game one, we all know, for those who watched it, that as the game was ending, J.R. Smith got a rebound. And instead of going back up for a shot, he dribbled out of the 3-point, into the wing. And then, of course, the time ran out. Now, as the time ran out, LeBron, he's trying to figure out what's going on. Why didn't JR just shoot up a shot? And ultimately, it leads them to have to go to overtime. And as they were sitting on the bench prior to overtime, you can see LeBron James was very, very emotionally imbalanced. Very, very, passive aggressive towards his teammates. He's not really communicating with anybody like that. Kyle Korver, he's clapping, trying to keep everybody involved in the game. And you can tell that the energy is very, very dead. And part of the reason why is because you got to remember, LeBron is supposed to be in the leadership position. So if it's certain things about manhood that he don't have, it's going to reflect on the rest of the team. And you can easily see it on the bench. So they had another angle that showed LeBron James during halftime actually what happened while they were on the bench. And while they were on the bench, LeBron James asked Tyronn Lue, the head coach, if they had another timeout. And as LeBron found out that they had another timeout, he kind of threw up his hands, and threw a form of like a baby tantrum. Okay. Now he did this in front of his teammates. He did this, in front of, the national public. All right. Now, immediately what I saw is that, hey, this is not a good thing because, first of all, you all hadn't even went into overtime yet. So the game ain't over. And then the main thing that's not good about it is that energy is gonna rub off on the rest of the team. So LeBron James, his passive aggressiveness and his lack of knowing how to deal with adversity is one of his weaknesses. And the reason why he's weak in this area is because, once again, I don't know the brother, but more than likely when he was a young man and he was dealing with certain adversity, once again, the bullshit probably his mother was putting him through, and some of the other things that he had challenges in his life. He didn't really have a man there that he was, biologically connected to enough that really guided him and instructed him on how to deal with that stuff. So he had to figure out alternate ways on how to deal with that. And one of the things is that sometimes a guy will become passive aggressive because that's a female-like trait. So they'll either develop it on their own or they may once again take it from the women that they see around them. But nevertheless, he didn't get this teaching and didn't get this lesson. And that's why he didn't know how to save his face when the clock went out. You know what I'm saying? With the whole J.R. Smith thing. Now, what LeBron should have done if he was taught and guided in leadership the right way and in manhood the right way, what he should have done was, of course, is hold his emotion because it's natural to feel, pissed off and stuff like that. But he should have held his emotion and realize that the rest of the team is probably feeling just as emotional. And if they see me breaking, then more than likely they gonna break. So I got to hold myself together because part of, being able to face adversity is not necessarily defeating the adversity, but it's so everybody that's around you can see how you react to it. Because, being a man, you're not going to be Superman all the time. There's going to be certain things that's going to come across you and it's going to defeat you. Okay, because we're not unstoppable in that regard. We still are physical people. But how you deal with the adversity is usually what people will judge you for. So when we had this Golden State versus Cleveland series, most people already knew that Cleveland was going to lose. If anything, we thought it was going to be a 5-game series, at most a 6-game series. But everybody knew Cleveland was going to lose. So it wasn't that people were disappointed, at LeBron James because, the Cavs lost and stuff like that. But if you looked at a lot of the post-game commentary and stuff like that, especially from a lot of the veteran players, okay, veteran NBA players who A, have been through that, and B, maybe had that weakness in their past, or C, had a, father teach them so they know manhood and they know certain things when they see it. And lo and behold, when I was watching all the post-game, talks, all the men called it out. You know what I'm saying? Steven Jackson, that used to play for the San Antonio Spurs, he called it out. Grant Hill, that used to play for the Detroit Pistons, he called it out. And there was a few more brothers that called it out. But nevertheless, you had a lot of brothers, calling that out. And also Skip Bayless, he called it out. And the guy Colin Cowherd, he called it out too. Because I was wanting to see who's gonna catch that. We already know about that J.R. Smith thing. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't my boy JR fucked up on that, but that I wasn't gonna keep going into that. I was a little more disappointed in LeBron James because of that passive aggressive energy and the manhood thing. That's what I didn't like, because I've always seen those symptoms from him. But I understood it when I saw it, because most black men have that, believe it or not. Because a lot of us were not guided and instructed by our fathers. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us either didn't have a father that wasn't around at all, or we had a father that was around, but he just kind of gave us information and then went on about his way. He wasn't hands-on, and he didn't guide us like that. That's how Blackbeard's father was. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, early on in my life, he was around. He gave me some little jewels and stuff like that. But I didn't really get to see my father express that stuff. He didn't really guide and instruct me on a lot of that. Blackbeard became a man through basically going in the jungle, through trial and error, doing certain things and thinking it worked one way and finding out it doesn't work that way. So I wasn't really guided and instructed like that, because my father, he wasn't fully vested like he was supposed to be. Yeah, I had uncles tell me stuff. I had basketball coaches, my homeboys' dads, just niggas on the block. Of course, all the OGs and the gang shit and all that. I had all them brothers giving me game, but like I said, the only person that's going to be fully vested in you like that is your parent. So, if your father just chooses not to make that choice, then, you're going to have to deal with the consequences. Now, because I'm a real assassin, I was able to survive that jungle and learn and reach manhood on my own. But most black men don't reach that level. Something about them either still comes out passive aggressive, or they just, keep up the same cycle that their fathers did. You know what I'm saying? By not being accountable or creating some type of responsibility and then trying to, get out the picture. So it's not good just to tell your son some stuff and then just leave and expect him to get it. That's no different than let's say, for example, you come to a store or something like that. And let's say I work in the store and you need to buy a particular part. So yeah, I can tell you about the part. I can say, hey, all you got to do is X, Y, and Z. But when you go home and you looking at all them parts scattered out, you know what I'm saying? And you trying to refigure how I told you to do it, you're going to try to do it on your own, but you're going to make a lot of mistakes. And you may either eventually get it or you may not get it at all. You see? But if I were to actually guide you step by step and instruct you step by step, then you could actually, achieve what the information and fulfill what it is that I'm giving you. You see? But a lot of these so-called black fathers, they're not doing that. So yeah, we already know about the deadbeat ones that don't show up at all. You know what I'm saying? That the kid don't know him and he ain't in the kid life at all. We know about that. But no, I'm getting on you niggas who your sons do know you. And you were around in his life a little bit. You popped up every now and then when you wanted to. You dropped a little information on him sometimes. You know what I'm saying? You put a few little dollars in his pocket sometimes, and then you went back to your little personal life. I'm talking to you niggas. You incomplete ass niggas. See, it's you all. You all doing the same thing like the guy at the store. Yeah, you telling your sons about women. You telling your sons about so-called white supremacy or colonialism. You telling your sons about independent business and entrepreneurship and building empires. Yeah, you telling your sons about this shit, but your sons ain't seeing y'all do this shit. They seeing y'all do the complete opposite. So this is a lot of reasons why young black men don't respect older black men. And that's why I have disdain for a lot of them. Because I didn't see you all actually expressing a lot of stuff. I saw you niggas talking down to us. I didn't see you niggas trying to guide us and instruct us and show us how this shit really goes. You niggas didn't do this shit. Y'all sat back. Y'all wanted to point at niggas. Y'all wanted to say, hey, y'all supposed to be doing this. Y'all supposed to be doing that. And then y'all went on about y'all way. And then when niggas didn't do the shit right, y'all want to come back and say, hey, look at these young black guys out here fucking up and all on the news and getting in trouble. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I don't like a lot of you bitch ass older generations of black men. That's what you niggas did. That's what you niggas did. That's right. That's exactly what you niggas did to y'all sons. And that's why y'all sons don't give a fuck about y'all. Another thing is that if the son's father isn't there, then he will substitute. He will create a new father figure. And a lot of the times, his new father figure will be his anger. Let me repeat that. A lot of the times when a young man's father is not in his life, he will create a substitute for his father figure. And a lot of the times, the substitute will be his own anger. So a lot of the times with these black guys, our anger actually becomes our father figure. Because I know that's how it was with me. So, for example, since my dad wasn't always there to guide and instruct, he either told me some shit and went on about his business or wasn't around to tell me nothing at all. That anger that comes from that is what ended up being my teacher. The anger that came from that is what ended up instructing me and guiding me on how to achieve the things that I still had to achieve in my life, whether my dad was there or not. So it was the anger that was my inspiration and my motivation and my teacher, you know. And a lot of you other brothers probably can attest to that. That your anger is your guru. Your anger is your magi. Your anger is your master mason. Because most men, believe it or not, the primary emotion that gets us to typically move the most, besides sexual energy, is anger. Men primarily deal with two types of energy. We deal with anger and aggression, and we deal with sexual energy. Them are the two primary energies we deal with. So when a man's father is not there, his anger becomes his father, and believe it or not, his sexual energy becomes his mother, because your sexual energy will guide and instruct and teach you as well. Okay, your sexual energy will guide and instruct and teach you as well. It can teach you how to deal with the woman. Okay, because you may have some people out there that grew up with their father, but their mother may have not been there, so they miss certain things when it comes to like the womanhood. Let's say for some of the sisters, who didn't have a mama around, that sometimes the sexual energy can become the teacher. So that's something very interesting when you look at people, and right now I'm focusing on my people, the Aboriginals. But with a lot of the brothers out here, especially that grew up once again in my generation, the 80s and like 90s and shit, anger actually became our father, So I want some of you all to think about that for a little while. Just meditate on that. On how a lot of black men, that anger actually is their father, their own anger. So just kind of wrapping up with the LeBron James thing, just got to be very, very careful on how you deal with adversity, because people are watching you, and how you respond is how they gonna respond. For example, Blackbeard got siblings, and that was always in the back of my mind, like that my younger brother and younger sister, I still got to be there for them, and I don't know how they looking at me, so I can't be looking funny because that may affect them, So when you're a man, it's a lot of multi-dimensional, third and fourth dimensional thinking that's required, because you got to think like an emperor. An emperor has to think for multiple kingdoms. He can't think for just what's inside his castle, So it requires a very, very advanced level of thinking, and not many men attain that level. It's unfortunate, but it is true. It was something else I wanted to address. It's going to come to my mind in a minute. It was dealing with the manhood. Well, let's just go over our points real quick. So the first thing is that, do not expect your son or your daughter to naturally become a man or naturally become a woman. You are a goddamn fool if you think that. If you think that your daughter is a woman just because, like I said, because her hips are developed now, you're crazy. If you think your son is a man now just because he's 18, you're crazy. I mean, you are literally insane. So don't do that. Know that your son or daughter has to be guided into manhood and guided into womanhood. So if you are a deadbeat mother or a deadbeat father, or you are an incomplete mother or an incomplete father, just know that you are participating, and you are risking your child not turning out okay. Because once again, everybody not gonna be no Blackbeard now. Everybody can't fight, the lions, the tigers, the bears, the snakes, the scorpions. Everybody can't fight that shit like Blackbeard and still come out like Hercules. So like, let's not think that. Like, you don't want to, like, just leave your child out there like that. You don't. I mean, you don't, because more than likely they gonna turn out fucked up. That's why most of y'all sons are gay, because y'all thought they could be men, and just figure that shit out. No, it's not gonna happen. When he in the 5th and 6th grade, and he try to go get the little girl's phone number, and they tell him no, and they run off laughing or run off saying, "Ooh, you ugly," or something like that, that little boy's not gonna know how to deal with that. How he ain't gonna think that he's supposed to go talk to boys because of that situation? And then y'all want to turn around and call him gay. But what if he was just confused? Let me say that shit again, man. Y'all ain't fucking with me. Y'all thinking that these little boys and these little girls just naturally gonna become men and women. So you gonna have your daughter. She gonna be at school. She gonna have the star basketball, the star football player guy she gonna like. But then she gonna see that he already got a girlfriend. So she may think that, oh man, it's over. You know what I'm saying? It's the end of the world. Or she may have a guy say, oh, you dark skinned, oh, you black as fuck. Don't a lot of you dark skinned black women complain about that? Oh, when I was in middle school, there was some boys always talking about me. So next thing you know, now she's a grown woman, or a grown female rather, and now she's a lesbian. So that's not the case. So are we gonna get mad at these little kids and say that they fucked up? No, they're just confused. They don't know. Like, that little girl didn't know that when them people said, oh, you ugly, that was something probably she was supposed to just ignore and just kind of keep it moving. She may have not known that. I don't expect no young kid to know that, because there was a lot of stuff when I was little that I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? The guy who tried to get the girl number and she said no, he may not know how to deal with the rejection. So you just gonna get mad at him because he don't know how to deal with that? Who taught him? Who laid down the template and laid down the process on how to deal with rejection? Because that's another thing about manhood. So first you got in manhood how to deal with adversity, which is very important. And the second thing that's important in manhood is how to deal with rejection. If there ain't no man around to really teach you and guide you on how to deal with rejection, when you get older, boy, you're gonna be screwed. You know what I'm saying? When job applications tell you no, you're going to get mad and want to go run and do something hot and run and go do something negative and evil just to get money. When you're online trying to inbox girls and get girls' numbers. When you're on Instagram DMing all the ladies. When you at the club and you trying to get the ladies' numbers and they telling you no. And then you get mad and run and just want to say fuck all these hoes. And now all of a sudden you just dogging all the women. Because nobody ever really taught you how to deal with rejection. Because I know that sting you feel in your heart when them girls tell you no. I know how I feel. I know that sting in your heart you feel when the girls tell you, oh, you broke, or they looking at your car and then they say, oh, nah, I'm straight. I know how I feel because it happened to me. But the point is that I went in the jungle and I learned how to deal with rejection on my own. You know what I'm saying? I healed my own heart. So, you got a child, especially if you got a son, a black son at that. If you got an Aboriginal son, or more, you better teach that boy how to deal with rejection. Because majority of his life, he's going to get rejected by women and opportunities for him to get money. Now, that don't mean he ain't going to never get no money, and that don't mean he ain't going to never get no women. But if you don't teach him how to deal with rejection, he probably ain't going to never get no women, and he ain't going to never get no money. And that shit just facts. So, dealing with adversity, how to deal with rejection, you better teach and guide him on that and instruct him. Don't expect that boy to naturally learn that, because he won't. Trust me. I'm one of the wisest people you'll ever hear talking. I'm one of the wisest people that ever walked in 2 feet on this planet. And it was a lot of shit that I didn't know. That shit facts. Okay. What I want to talk about next. Another thing is, we'll talk about this and wrap it up. It's very important, teach him how to deal with the rejection and stuff, so he'll learn how to basically reconcile and heal his own heart. Because that's another thing about being a man. You got to know how to heal your own heart and heal your own trauma. You can't be running to no damn no therapist and running to no shrink or no psychologist. It's like, nah, bro. You need to learn how to heal your own heart and heal your own trauma. And you need to learn how to acknowledge shit that you don't like. Okay? Because what will happen is, as a masculine entity, you will find that it will it will hinder a lot of relationships you have with women. So if it's a lot of shit you mad about, it's a lot of shit you feel incomplete in your life. And you just, once again, you angry. Because once again, brothers, that's the primary energy we deal with is anger. You will notice that it will be hard for you to get in certain relationships. This has been something that Blackbeard has had to deal with. Yeah, in certain ways that I can use my anger and it's very constructive. But there also, are a lot of, in other words, there's a lot of fire, anger, energy, within myself. And sometimes what it'll do is it will have you cut people off prematurely. Okay. It'll have you cut people off prematurely. And sometimes that may not necessarily be what, be the case or something you need to do. And that's facts. That's facts. And it takes a real woman to understand that. And she has to be guided and instructed on that. So a woman or a female, that the alpha man she really wants, he's going to have some trauma in his life. That's how he became to be an alpha. Because he was in that jungle, in that wilderness. So he's going to be pissed off and he's going to have some trauma. But a real woman knows how to soothe a man's trauma. I've never experienced this. Maybe I will one day, maybe I won't. But I do think that a real woman has that ability to heal a man's trauma and to help a man get over certain things that, may have kind of fucked him up. Because I do think that, whatever woman a guy is dealing with, he can reveal to her, what's going on with him and stuff. So a real woman is going to have to be understanding about that. And I will say this, most black women, they don't have that trait because they're not women. They're grown females. So when they meet a lot of real brothers and they see how we are, a lot of times they don't even know what to do with us. So they go back and get those beta guys that are a little easier to control and a little easier to understand. But the guys that are alphas, the emperors, the kings, we're very hard to understand. The gods on earth, we're very hard to understand. God is a complex being. Ain't nothing simple about God. So the Aboriginal man can be, he's a puzzle. And only a real woman can deal with him. And only a real woman deserves him too, So I guess that last part was for the women out there that, for you mothers and fathers out there who got daughters, you're going to have to instruct and train your daughter on how to find alpha men and how to understand the trauma that men go through. Because most men, we don't say nothing. Everybody be expecting us to just be tough. Nobody really cares about our emotions and how we feel and think about things. So we tend to act out in certain ways because of the trauma and because everybody ignoring us, we don't say nothing. But a real woman, she got the ability to go inside of a man's mind and his heart and find his trauma and heal it. Even if the man tries to fight her away, because that's typically what I do. Or at least that's what I notice myself doing. Usually when a woman starts trying to heal my trauma, I tend to try to fight her away sometimes. It's something I'm working on, but hell, that's just what I do. But I'm pretty sure some of you all will learn from this tape, being that they got the little so-called holiday of Father's Day tomorrow. But like I said, anybody got a penis, that can stick inside of a hole and ejaculate, that don't make you no father. So just because you have a child don't really make you a father. You just are a person that has a child. But to me, a father or a dad, that's different. You know what I'm saying? That's the guidance. That's the interaction. It's the soul connection. Okay. But it's the boy Blackbeard Mirage, man. Hopefully y'all learn from this one. Stay tuned for the next one. I'm out.